The miserable mother. My hometown is a very rural and remote place surrounded by mountains. The vehicles were not easy to get there. From the day I got to the city for work, I just returned home 1 or 2 a year. In 2016, on a returning home trip, as usual, there was an unexpected event that happened so that I was unable to forget. My home at that moment, there were my mother and my sister. As usual, every time I came home, the first thing I had to do was bringing gifts to my relatives. I was so tired of that tradition but thought of my mother, I had to do that. My mom had prepared some fruits for me and wanted me to go to the relatives' houses. At that time, I had a few days home already. I was way too busy to visit my relatives around. I wanted to make it in the afternoon to stay away from the sunshine. Our relatives were living at a far distance from us. If I went to their place in the afternoon, certainly, I was going to get home late. Plus, we were living in the middle of nowhere which was surrounded by mountains and forests, so my older sister got worried about me. She asked me if I was okay when getting to our relatives' home by myself and back at night around. My mother was consistent. She gave me her best friend's address and told me that if I could not get home, I could knock out her friend's door and stay over one night. Her friend was Min, who I had seen before. My mother would give Min a call to notify her if anything happened. And so, I was unable to resist. I had to pay my relatives a visit. While my mother was inside the house, my sister held my hand and wanted to tell me something. She said that I had to listen to her carefully. Min was a weirdo. Sometimes she said weird things, so I gotta prepare well for staying over at her house. If I sensed something weird, I gotta call my sister in no time. I felt strange. I had no idea why my sister turned to be that worried. Anyways, my mother told me that she and Auntie Min were best friends. I replied to my sister that I understood already, and I gotta go, or it would get dark. She insisted that I had to call her instantly if there was anything, which made me so much confused. I replied that she better got back to the house with Mom. On the way, I recalled what Mom and I had talked about the day earlier during dinner. We had talked about Auntie Min. At that moment, my sister wasn't there. Mom had told me about Auntie Min's situation. She made a careful recommendation to me that I might stay over at Min's house. She told me that I might not remember who Auntie Min was. She had got along with Min once my sister and I was very little. But for the time being, Auntie Min has lived all alone by herself. Mom continued that Min had 2 sons, but they were all passed away due to their heavy sickness. I wondered and asked Mom that what about Auntie Min's daughters-in-law? Why Min had to live by herself? Were her daughters-in-law those bad people? Had they left her there and went away? Mom told me that Auntie Min had a daughter-in-law, but their relationship did not run well. Her daughter-in-law even wished Auntie Min died as soon as possible so that they could sell her house out. Such a brutal world for the poor woman. I could not keep calm in front of what Mom had told me about Auntie Min's daughter-in-law. She was an ungrateful woman. Mom continued that her daughter-in-law even didn't care what people criticized her. She just kept misbehaving to Auntie Min. Got back on the way to my relative's place. Finally, I could make it. Then, as my mom recommended, I followed the address my mother had given me and went to Auntie Min's house. I knocked on the door politely and called her out. "Auntie Min, are you home?" "I'm Liling, Lan's daughter." I was afraid that Auntie Min didn't come to get the door. That was late already. She might be afraid of the stranger. After knocking on the door and not getting a response from the inside, I found out that the gate wasn't locked. That was really dark around. I had no guts to stay outside, so I pushed the door and tended to come inside. I had prepared for a careful explanation to Auntie Min. I was pushing the door and calling Auntie Min politely. "Auntie Min, are you home?" "I'm Liling, Lan's daughter." My mom has called you prior for my staying over already." Still no one answer. It was pretty dark, no lights around. At that moment, I got a bit intense to my nerves. I wondered if Auntie Min was falling into a deep sleep and didn't hear me out. I wanted to call her once again. I heard an old voice right next to me and got startled. An old woman asked me who I was, why I came to her place that late, and how she could help me. She was unlikely to recognize me and didn't look healthy. I replied that I was Liling, her friend, Lan's daughter. My mother had called her in the afternoon for my arrival there. Fortunately, she had recognized who I was. She wide opened the door and welcomed me inside. She explained that she was a little busy in the house, so she didn't hear the knock door sound and told me to step inside her house. The house was also very dark. I asked why she didn't turn the light on. It was easy to fall if she moved around without light. Auntie Min told me she wanted to save some money from the electricity bill. She already got used to the dark. She was living such a miserable life. That night, after changing clothes and doing my night routine, I went to bed early to sleep. At Auntie Min's place, there was nothing to entertain at night. No television, no radio. I usually go to bed very late at night, so I was unable to sleep right away that night. I picked my phone up and surfed around my phone. Around 11 p.m., while surfing my phone, I heard a man's voice outside the windows calling his mom. That was a weak, little voice, just like what I usually heard from horror movies. I thought I had misheard that at first, but I still heard that voice echoing to my ears after a while. That was terrifying me and gave me goosebumps. At that moment, I was very scared. In my head, there was a shred of thought about Auntie Min's dead sons. I turned to her and laid her up. Someone was calling her outside. I strongly laid her up, but she didn't respond to me after a long while. I saw she furrowed her eyebrows, her forehead was sweaty. She was likely to be awake. She just pretended to sleep and not hear anything outside. I had never experienced something like that. I didn't know what to do, so I laid down, pulled the blanket to cover my head, and just like Auntie Min, I pretended not to hear anything. But I was unable to close my eyes out. The voice out of the windows still repeatedly calling Auntie Min. Out of the blue, I heard Auntie Min screamed out nearby. "You were dead already. Why not go easy on your mother?" Auntie Min was screaming out while she was lying next to me but not moving an inch. But after then, the voice outside the windows had stopped. I got both confused and scared. I had passed out in fears and worries. I had no idea how to fall asleep back then. Once I woke up in the morning, the sun already rose up high. Auntie Min woke up earlier than me and went out already. I didn't see her in the house. I changed my clothes and opened the door to step outside. When I opened the door, I saw Auntie Min. She was doing house chores and had already done some stuff. I saw her stepping out from the storage. I told Min goodbye and tended to leave. I didn't want to talk about what happened the night earlier. She replied that see me around later. She was unlikely to remind me what happened the night earlier. I was a little uncomfortable. I thought I would never get back and stay at Auntie Min's house ever again. Before leaving, I coincidentally glared at the storage. I was half curious and half coincident what she had done in there in the early morning. I lightly opened the storage door and gave my eyes inside. I was a little scared of what I have seen in the storage. There was an altar inside the storage with 3 photos on top, 2 young men and an old man. The 2 young men were possibly Auntie Min's sons, and the old one was her husband. I could see the smoke of incense sticks around. Auntie Min must have been there to fire up those incense sticks for them. I looked at those photos, and once I glared to the right photo, I heard a familiar voice. That was the man's voice at night calling his mother from the altar likely. That was shocking to me. I hurriedly closed the door and ran for my life home. Right reaching home, I instantly asked my mom about Min's sons' deaths. I wanted to know in detail what happened to them and how and why they had died. My mom started to tell me everything she knew. It turned out the men in Auntie Min's house had died because of tuberculosis. It was tragic to her. They had no money to pay for hospital bills. Her husband had tuberculosis first and spread to his sons. She had tried her best to curb her sons. All of her money had been spent for her sons' treatments, but unfortunately, that was not enough to curb her sons. They all were unable to make it out of the wood, eventually. Mom said that she had some stuff she needed to give Auntie Min. She wanted me to transfer it to Min's place once again. After telling my mother what I had experienced the night earlier, she said she would go instead if I were scared of it. She was able to sleep over at Min's place without an issue. But how I could let her come there afterward, I had to go. After having meals with my mom, I came to Auntie Min's house once again at dawn. I called out at her door that it was me again. My mom had something to gift her. I saw the door was opening at that time. I stared inside and saw Auntie Min was sitting there, having her dinner alone. She asked me if I had had dinner yet, and invited me to join her. She looked happy that day. I came close to her and sat opposite her. She held a rice bowl in her hands. There was only a pickle dish on the table. Without thinking, I asked her why and how she could eat such a simple meal. Thinking of that moment, I was shameful. I hadn't thought about her circumstances. She replied calmly that she wanted to save money because she was in debt and had to pay the bills. That must have been her loan for curving her sons earlier. After Auntie Min having dinner, it was dark outside. I was surprised that Auntie Min had turned all the lights in the house on. I saw Auntie Min brought out a carton box. She had me calculate how much money was in there. She had saved that money from day to day and wanted to know if that was enough to pay the debts. She pilled out all of the money inside in front of me on the table. From surprise to surprise, I saw a load of money on the table, from dozens, hundreds to thousands. Some of them were 500. They were all old money. She must have saved them from a very long time ago. I helped her to straighten that money on the table and put them in order. Auntie Min told me that was all she had and stacked. She wanted to pay the rest of her debts. I had to help her to straighten money and put them in order, then calculated and noted them afterward in total. Auntie Min had a notebook. She had noted how much she had borrowed around as well as how much she had paid them back. Finally, I told her that she could clear her debt with that much money. She even had remained some change. After finishing, I saw Auntie Min gave me a light smile. She told me that she finally could clear her debt. During the sleeping time, Auntie Min had told me many things. Her second son always blamed her for not having enough money to curb him. Her second son had passed away when he was nearly 30. How he died at that young age, so he had blamed her that she was unable to help him. He also tortured her and wanted her to follow him as well as his father. She was talking in chokes, but at that moment, I could feel that she had a release already. She told me that she wanted to go after them badly. She was really lonely in this world, but she had to clear her debts. She didn't want to bring the debts to see them after she dies. At midnight, I had passed out another time. I had heard the crying and call for Auntie Min once again from the outside. That was her son's voice. When I awakened the next morning, as the day earlier, Auntie Min wasn't inside the house. I changed my clothes and prepared to leave. Once I opened the door and stepped outside, I saw the storage door was opening. I thought Auntie Min had been there. I wanted to say goodbye to her before leaving, so I asked if she was in there. I called her out a few times, but no response, so I pulled myself together and stepped near the storage. I opened the door, and what happened made me frightened. I saw Auntie Min had fallen down with her sitting pose next to the altar. I ran towards her and checked her noses. She had stopped breathing. After Auntie Min's funeral, her daughter-in-law back to the house and took her all saving money away. She didn't pay any of the family debts, even a penny. Then she gathered everything of Auntie Min and brought them to a nearby forest to burn them out. She moved to the house afterward. Then I had heard from people that she had to let the lights on in the evening. She turned paler and paler every time I got back. People said she had told them that she heard Auntie Min's voice every night outside the windows.